Good morning. Here we are starting our second session of the module Astronomy and Astrophysics. In the last class, we had discussed the stellar magnitude sequence and the different type of magnitudes like apparent magnitude, absolute magnitude, their relation between them. Today we are covering an important topic, that is stellar parallax. But before going to stellar parallax, let's complete some topics related to the previous session. So we know that there are different magnitudes, isn't it? See, visual magnitude means the measuring the brightness of the star using our eyes. That means visually we are measuring the magnitude. Now, what is photovisual magnitude? We are photographing the stars and measuring the brightness, then the magnitude is known as photovisual magnitude. Also, photographic magnitudes were also there, isn't it? So that we use blue and violet sensitive emulsions to photograph stellar images. The next magnitude was bolometric magnitude, which is based on all the radiations coming out from a star. And we had derived a small equation which is known as bolometric correction, since there is no dictator which is sensitive to all the wavelengths of the stellar spectrum. So bolometric correction can be calculated as apparent bolometric magnitude minus apparent photovisual magnitude, or absolute bolometric magnitude minus absolute photovisual magnitude. So bolometric correction simply means it is the difference between photovisual and bolometric magnitude of a star. So continuing that topic, we are discussing another method of measuring the brightness of a star, and that method is known as photoelectric method, which is a direct method of measuring the brightness of the star. So what is happening in this method? Let's see. The starlight is allowed to fall on the cathode of a photocell, and the resulting photocurrent is amplified and recorded on a pen recorder, which is a highly sensitive instrument. So that the deflection produced in this instrument is directly proportional to the intensity of light coming from the star. See, what is the term photoelectric method? Is there any other similar term you know? That is photoelectric effect, isn't it? So this method employs the photoelectric effect. See, there is an instrument called photoelectric photometer, which is an instrument used for measuring the brightness of a star by means of electric current produced when it falls on a light sensitive surface, which the process is known as photoelectric effect. We know that when light rays falls on a cathode, electrons are emitted from that surface, so that these electrons, movement of these electrons will constitute a current. So that process is occurring in a photoelectric photometer, and with that current, which gets recorded on a pen recorder, we can analyze the brightness of the sky. So the light gathered. Now this photoelectric photometer is placed in a telescope, so that the light gathered by a telescope passes through a filter onto a light sensitive surface known as the cathode. See, the star's light are viewed with the help of a telescope, isn't it? Distant objects can be viewed through telescope. In this telescope, we are placing this instrument so that the light gathered by the telescope is passed through a filter and it is get incident on a surface which is known as cathode, from which electrons are emitted so that the resulting current is amplified and recorded. So this is the most standard equipment for observing the brightness of the star. So this is the photoelectric method in which we use a photoelectric photometer to measure the brightness of a star. And using this photoelectric photometer, several stars were analyzed for their brightness, and a new standard of magnitude sequence was established by Johnson and Morgan. So, this photoelectric photometer analyzed the brightness of several stars and then classified the stars according to their brightness, and that magnitude sequence was established by Johnson and Morgan, and that magnitude system is known as U and V magnitude system. U and V magnitude system, which was made by Johnson and Morgan. And they use, here we had discussed that they light gathered by the telescope passes through a filter, isn't it? And through this filter the light is passed on and get incident on a cathode. So we can use several types of filter here. So Johnson and Morgan used 3 filters, and they had ultraviolet, blue and visual colors of the stars. So the 3 filters chosen by them had ultraviolet, blue and visual colors with effective wavelength 3500 angstrom, 4300 angstrom and 5500 angstrom. Or we can say that this system, that is U and V magnitude system, helps in the measurement of starlight in the ultraviolet, blue as well as visual regions of the spectrum. See, they used, Johnson and Morgan used 3 filters, and using these 3 filters we know that the star light coming from the star is of a different wavelength, isn't it? So 3 wavelengths can be identified with the help of these 3 filters made by Johnson and Morgan. 3 wavelengths means which is corresponds to ultraviolet region, blue region and visual region of the electromagnetic spectrum. So that was the U and V magnitude system. And another photometric magnitude system is the 6-color photometry. 6-color photometry introduced by Stebbins and Whitford. So they used 6 filters. So these are having wavelength 3550 angstrom, which measures the ultraviolet, 4200 angstrom, that corresponds to violet, 4900 angstrom blue, 5700 angstrom green, 7200 angstrom R, that is red, and 1300 angstrom indigo. So all these wavelengths can be measured using this 6-color photometry. And they used 6 different filters in order to analyze the starlight and categorize the wavelengths to these values. So this system was found useful in studying the wavelength dependence and also for obtaining temperature. So there is a relation connecting wavelength and temperature. So what was that relation? Yeah, that relation is given by Wien's displacement law. So using this 6-color photometry, we can identify the wavelength of the light emitted by a star, as well as from that we can finalize what is the temperature of the star. Now the next magnitude is radiometric magnitude, in which the brightness of a star is measured using thermocouples, photoconductive cells and bolometers. Here, thermocouples, photoconductive cells and bolometers are used for the measurement of infrared radiation only. So that we measure the infrared radiations which are coming from cool stars. So for that we are using thermocouples, photoconductive cells and bolometers. And there is since the stars are cool stars, there is a parameter which is known as heat index. The difference between photovisual and radiometric magnitudes are known as heat index. I repeat, heat index is the difference between photovisual magnitude as well as radiometric magnitude. So MPV minus MRAD. So this is the difference in apparent magnitude, and this is the difference in absolute magnitude. Now, the stars are classified into several groups like O, A, B, etc. Now this heat index is measured 0 for the star of spectral class A0. See, A0 just denotes a group of stars. A classification of a stars with a name A0 is there. So that the stars of spectral class A0 is having a heat index 0. You just note that value only. And heat index, we are measuring this heat index for a cool stars, because radiometric magnitude is used in the calculation of heat index, and we know that radiometric magnitudes are used for measuring the infrared radiation coming from cool stars. So that for cool star, heat index is very large and positive. Now I had already said that there is a relation connecting wavelength and temperature given by Wien's displacement law. So you already studied the Wien's displacement law, that is lambda max into T is a constant and that value is given. So that the wavelength is inversely proportional to the absolute temperature. When wavelength is high, in order to maintain this constant value, temperature must be low. Or if the wavelength is low, the temperature must be high in order to maintain this constant value. That means the wavelength at which the intensity peaks, that is lambda max, is inversely proportional to the absolute temperature. So what happens as the temperature increases? As the temperature increases, the peak wavelength is displaced or shifted to shorter wavelength. So that is the Wien's displacement law, which will help us to determine by determining the wavelength, we can determine the temperature of the stars. So see, knowing the value of lambda, you can calculate T from there. And vice versa, knowing the value of T, you can measure the wavelength coming from the star. So that you can see, as the temperature is very high, that is 35,000 degrees Celsius, which is the hottest star, is having blue color. So that the wavelength is small. Here you can see 3000 degrees Celsius means it is the coolest star. Coolest star means it is having higher wavelength, that corresponds to red color. So the stars can be of different colors. Blue, you can see when you watch the sky, we can see blue color, and we will think it of as a we can see also yellow color also. Orange color is also there, isn't it? So the star can be of blue, white, orange, yellow or red color depending upon its temperature. So the stars of higher temperature will emit more light in shorter wavelength. That is, shorter wavelength means it ranges from blue to violet of the spectrum than those of lower temperature, which emit more light in longer wavelength. Longer wavelength means having the wavelength of a red color. So this is an important concept, that the temperature and wavelength emitted from a star are inversely proportional to each other, and so that the color of light depend on its wavelength. See, how will we identify the color? Color is color is measured using it by knowing its wavelength, isn't it? And knowing its wavelength means the stars of different temperature will appear to be having different wavelength. That means different colors. From this concept, we are defining the color index. What is color index of a star? We use different methods like photovisual methods, photographic methods, radiometric methods, etc. for the measurement of brightness. But the photographic plates are more sensitive to blue light. That means in photographic method, these photographic plates are more sensitive to blue light, and in photovisual method, the plates are more sensitive to greenish yellow color or greenish yellow light. That means the photographic as well as photovisual magnitude of the same star will be different, and that difference is known as color index. I repeat, we use photovisual methods and photographic methods for measuring the brightness of a star, but that values will not be the same for the same star. So that difference between the photographic and photovisual magnitude of a star is called color index, that is CI, which is equal to MPG minus MPV. Photographic and photovisual magnitude. The difference between photographic and photovisual magnitude of a star is known as color index. So now we can calculate what is color index. What is another expression for color index? See, we in the last class we had derived the equation m minus m is equal to 5 log d minus 5, where d is the distance modulus. So you can write this equation for both photographic method as well as photovisual method. So MPG minus MPG will be 5 log d minus 5. See, the star is the same, so that the distance to the star is the same. So MPV minus V minus capital MPV is equal to 5 log d minus 5. So we got two equations, but the right hand side is equal, so you can equate the left hand side. So MPG minus MPG is equal to MPV. Sorry, it is MP. You can rearrange it. See, MPG minus MPG is equal to MPV minus MPV. So equating on this and rearranging, you will get the difference in apparent magnitudes of photographic and photovisual magnitude. Here also the difference between the absolute photographic and absolute photovisual magnitude will give you the color index of the star. So color index is also defined. Here we defined it as the difference between photographic and photovisual magnitude of the star, where the magnitude was apparent magnitude. Here you can see that it is the difference between absolute photographic and absolute photovisual magnitude. That is the color index of a star. We know that sun is a star, isn't it? So color index of sun is calculated as a plus 0.53, and the color index of a stars vary from minus 0.4, that corresponds to the blue color, to plus 2.0, that corresponds to red, and in the case of sun it is 0.53, positive value of 0.53. Now what is we had a luminosity of star. We had already discussed luminosity and we had derived the equation L is equal to 4 pi r square sigma t raised to 4. Here we are calculating the luminosity of a star in terms of luminosity of sun. See, L sun is the luminosity of sun and M bol of sun is the absolute bolometric magnitude of the sun. And we are measuring the luminosity of another star having luminosity value capital L and absolute bolometric magnitude M bol. So how you can write the equation? Just study this equation which connects the luminosity of a star with that of a luminosity of a sun. That is M bol minus M bol of sun is equal to minus 2.5 log L by L sun. So that is knowing this bolometric values of sun and the bolometric value of the star, you can calculate L. See, knowing these three values M, M and L, you can calculate these L, that is the luminosity of the given star, by this equation. Now we are moving to our main topic, stellar parallax. What is parallax? Parallax is the shift in position of the objects when the object is viewed from two different places. I repeat, parallax is the shift in the position of objects when the object is viewed from two different places. So we are measuring the same object, but we are measuring it from two distances so that we can see that there is the shift in the position of an object. You can do it by yourself. Hold your thumb in front of your face. Hold. Now look, close your one eye and look at your thumb using your right eye. So you can see your thumb, isn't it? Now close the right eye and look at your thumb using your left eye. See, does the position of your thumb change? Yes, isn't it? So that shift in position of the object of the thumb is known as parallax error. We are measuring that thumb from our left eye and right eye, and we can see that there is a small change in the position of the thumb as we measure the thumb, as we see the thumb from our two eyes. So that is the parallax error. So watching the stars in the sky from different places will create this parallax. See, we are measuring. So this is the earth and earth is revolving around the sun. The distance between earth and sun is known as the astronomical distance, that is 1 AU, and we are observing the star here. So that we are observing the star in every 6 months. See, the earth is here. So the month is June and we are watching the star like this. And when the earth, during December, the earth is here and we are watching the star again from here. So you know that this is one astronomical unit. And D, what is D? D is the distance to the star. And we are going to measure the star's distance using this method. So stellar parallax is a measure of star's distance. And this parallax is also known as trigonometric parallax or heliocentric parallax or annual parallax. So there are different terms for it: trigonometric parallax, heliocentric parallax or annual parallax. See, so this angle, this semi-angle is now given as P. So you can calculate angle by the equation angle is equal to arc by radius, isn't it? So here angle is equal to P, arc is 1 AU and distance is D. So that P is equal to 1 by D, or from that you can calculate D as 1 by P. So the distance D to the star is inversely proportional to the parallax, and where we had measured distance D, which is in parsecs. We had already said that for absolute magnitude the star is made at a standard reference of 10 parsec, isn't it? So we measure the distance to the star in parsecs, where 1 parsec is equal to 3.26 light years, and this parallax angle P is measured in arc seconds. The angle formed by parallax is measured in arc seconds. We know that the distance is measured in parsecs. Distance to the star is measured in parsecs, and the angle formed by this parallax is measured in arc seconds. From this we can calculate the distance to the star. We know that this circle is divided into 360 degree, and 1 degree is divided into 60 minutes, and 1 minute is divided into 60 seconds. Therefore, 1 arc second means 1 by 360 into 60 into 60 of a circle, or 1 by 12,96,000 of a circle. You can calculate using by calculator, so that we are going to measure 1 arc second. So 1 arc second is 1 by 360 into 360 into 60 into 60 of a circle, or 1 by 12,96,000 of a circle. So that the distance a star must be to have a parallax of 1 arc second is 20 to 65 AUs, that is the 3.1 into 10 raised to 18 meter. How you got this 3.1? That distance is called as parsec, that is 1 parsec. 1 parsec is equal to, we know that 1 parsec is equal to, 1 parsec corresponds to the distance, isn't it? And distance is equal to distance is equal to astronomical unit by arc second. So 1 astronomical unit divided by 1 arc second will give you this value. 1 astronomical unit, you know the value, and 1 arc second is, we had calculated 1 arc second, and the dividing that values, you will get 3.1 into 10 raised to 18 centimeter. In meter it will be 3.1 into 10 raised to 16 meter. So this distance is called a parsec. So parsec means parallax in arc second is denoted as parsec. So 1 parsec is equal to 1 astronomical unit by divided by 1 arc second. From that we calculate the value of 1 parsec, and 1 parsec is defined as the distance at which arc of length 1 AU subtends an angle of 1 second. See the figure. When the distance will be 1 parsec, if this is 1 and this is 1 second, we can say D is equal to 1 by 1, that is 1 parsec. So we can define 1 parsec as the distance at which arc of length 1 astronomical unit subtends an angle of 1 arc second. So that is 1 parsec. So the parallax formula is given by D is equal to 1 by P, where D is the distance to the star in parsecs and P is the parallax angle of the stars in the arc seconds. Now the closest star to the earth is Proxima Centauri. See, it is a member of a triple star system called the Alpha Centauri system. See, here you can see the sun and this is the earth. See, the nearest star to the earth is Proxima Centauri. Here you can see 3 stars, Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B and Proxima Centauri. So this is 3 stars group. which is known as the Alpha Centauri system, in which this Proxima Centauri is nearer to the Earth. Now this Proxima Centauri has the largest non-stellar parallax, that is 0.76 seconds. So this parallax is 0.76 seconds, means what will be the distance to that star? 1 by 0.76, that is 1.3 parsecs, or 1.3 parsecs is equivalent to 4.3 light years. So in this way you can calculate the distance to the star by using the equation d is equal to 1 by p. So knowing the parallax, you can calculate the distance to the star, both in parsec as well as in light years also, because 1 parsec, you know that there is a relation connecting parsec and light year also, that is 1 parsec is equal to 3.26 light year. So 1.3 multiplied by 3.26 light year will give you 4.3 light years, which is the distance to the nearest closest star, that is Proxima Centauri, closest star to the Earth. So that is a Proxima Centauri. So I hope the session is clear to you. Thank you.